to the TVR, episode 4. You know I haven't edited and uploaded episode 3 yet, so I can't have everything. So what I've done is I've done a diagram of the chassis with some dimensions on it. And then worked out where I want to cut, which I've also marked on the chassis. And then I put tape round, so hopefully it'll be a straight cut. And then we should, sorry for the light, we should be able to just whip that off, put exactly the same dimensions on the other side, and we should end up with 2 identical pieces. Possibly. Made all the cuts now. There's a little nib on the bottom of that one, and a little nib on the top of that one there. When I slit them, this should just slide off. Yeah, that's what. Okay. Yeah, we'll nip them, and then same dimensions on the other side, and they can go off a refurb. Then we're going to tidy that area up so the chassis can roll out, and then it's out the way. And these are our two chassis sections which we cut out. Reasonably happy with the way that worked. You can see all my markings there. Anyway, the chassis has been coated in oil, as in there, where I just degreased it. It's come up lovely. So, yeah, they're going off to be copied, which is going to be a bit of a delay. This is the front of the driver's side one. As you can see, it's pretty bad. Passenger side one's gone in the same place, and they're generally just a bit crusty and nasty. But once that's done, it'll be good, be strong, seatbelts be good, well, be safe, and we go from there. So I'm going to clean that section up so I can get this from under the lift. Now I've got to try and create a something to put the body on with wheels, ideally, so I can move it around. Horrible day, absolutely peeing down. Okay, so that's the area we're going to clear. So we're going to go. Hello, welcome back to the channel. So we're back on the TVR. The body's on the frame under there, so that was rolled out the way. This is up here, just cleaning up while the outriggers are made. But we've decided we're going to take the back suspension off. As you can see, it's a bit crusty. Get the wishbones blasted, and then hopefully I should be able to clean the chassis up to a reasonable degree. So everything, cracked all the bolts now. They're all loose. I've left them in place because I need to go and match them to put new ones in. Got the drive shafts disconnected from the diff, as you can see there. Went and bought a proper 8mm impact Allen key, which made it loads easier. So I'm going to leave the drive shafts attached to the uprights. My dad's going to clean the uprights up. Wishbones are going to get blasted and painted. I've got to drill that bolt out, which sheared when I was taking it apart. And then he can, well, I suppose you can clean the drive shafts up. The drive shafts. Well, yeah, you can clean the drive shafts up. You can also clean the shock absorbers up. And then that should give us space to. Front of the frame's fine. There's so much oil and stuff around that there's very limited, even tiny bits of surface corrosion. It's the back. But it seems we're doing the outriggers, it seems silly not to clean the rest of it up. It's slightly precarious on the lift because without the outriggers, my lift is kind of on maximum expanse to pick it up. But we're about to do it on the floor. So yeah, I'm going to rip one side off Quite sure what the best way is to do it. We'll have a look now. And yeah, they can start getting cleaned up then. And we should get back to a reasonably nice car again. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I just want to get, probably going to take fuel lines out and clean all this stuff up with a wire wheel on a drill. Get some rust treatment on it. And a bit of rust preventative primer. And we should be looking good, hopefully. I'll come back when we got these off. And we're back. As you can see, all the rear suspension's off, drive shafts are off, discs are off. They've all gone to my dad's to be cleaned up. Decided, might be a stupid decision, I'm going to take the diff out so I can clean the rear chassis properly. In fact, we're going to take most components off the rear of the chassis, including the fuel lines and probably the fuel filter and the fuel pump and all that sort of stuff. Might just mask these yet, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to take some reference photos and drawings of where the I wasn't going to replace the fuel line, but it does look a bit corroded in places. Yeah, so we're going to have a crack. We're going to take the prop shaft, which weirdly isn't in the middle of the chassis. It's like way over this side, which I hadn't noticed before. Prop shaft off, which will hopefully then drop down and come out the back of the gearbox, probably resulting in all the oil coming out of the gearbox. So get a bucket ready for that. Then we're going to drop the bolts off this, or the two brackets, get those out. Drop these Allen keys out the back, and that, I'll get rid of that bracket, and I think what it'll do is twist and come out the hole in the bottom. He said. Almost like it was easy. Yeah, we're getting it. So I've cleaned, it's not very good. That's a bit I've rust treated, which doesn't look too bad now. So I just want to get the worst of it off, get a coat of rust preventative on it. And if the rear of the chassis is clean, we'll spray a coat of primer on it. And that should, we should be looking good then. Right. We'll come back. We're back. So yeah, we did take the diff out after all. As you can see, sort of started on it, cleaning the rust back and putting treatment on. I just put a coat of red anti-rust primer stuff on to see how it's going to look before I commit to cock that bit up. There was a run, I wiped it. Yeah. It's not actually looking too bad. You can see, that's the only thing with this rust treatment. I don't know if you can see it in this. You can see the brush strokes. But what I'm hoping is, now, and it's starting to crack there. It's a really old can of red primer that I found, so I'm not sure it's actually very good. So what I might do is, when I've cleaned up the refs tomorrow, I'll put it on, I got some in a can, I'll mix it and put it in a little spray gun and use that to spray it on. You can see I've sort of cleaned, I haven't rust treated up, well I haven't finished cleaning up, but I've been cracking on with cleaning as much as I can to get the dry flaky stuff off. Sexy. But I don't know how happy I am with it. And my buddy was here today and he was sort of, you just take the engine out and gearbox. And just focusing. Drop the front suspension off. We can have the old chassis blasted. and then we've turned into a complete chassis rebuild thing, which wasn't what we started here. It's already getting dangerously out of hand. So as long as this, I'll live with the brush strokes. I might be able to run a sander over them a little bit. So I think basically carry on plodding. I've started cleaning up the diff support brackets. Hopefully we can get them blasted because some corners I can't get to. Clean the diff up, paint, degrease it, paint the front half of the diff black, I think. Maybe try and polish that back section up. I've got some aluminium cleaner, that's quite good. And yeah, we've got all our bags, prop bolts, diff bolts, inner wishbone bolts, etc. So I can take them to all get them matched for new ones. I'll clean the prop up, short prop, give that a coat of black paint. Hopefully when the rocker covers are done, we're going to do core plugs, engine mounts, rocker cover gaskets. I better get exhaust manifold gaskets as well, because they've obviously been off, or are off. So yeah, a bit of a crappy day using either the belt sander like this, which is mega, get one, belt sander, angle grinder with a flat disc on, the triangle sander, which is, don't know where that is. So yeah, it's all about that view really, because you're never going to see any of this other than when it's on a ramp or you're underneath it. So as long as, sorry about that doesn't actually look too bad. It looks a lot better than it did. So, yeah, I'm reasonably happy-ish. So more, I need to get another 5 litres of panel wipe to degrease all this section here around the back. I think I must have had oil leak or something on a prop at some point because it's sprayed. I've cleaned a lot of it off. And then carry on working forward, and then try and find a reasonable matching silver or grey paint. This is going to be the end of this. Alright then, so we're back on the TVR. After the decision was made to go full strip down, which we're not miles away from anyway. Buzz the front suspension, well, anti-roll bar, break the track rod ends, buzz the front suspension off, then label and take all these brake lines off and the clutch lines. Probably just zip the slave cylinder off. There's not actually that many. And then front brake lines, few lines going down that side. I don't know where the brake line goes. Oh, across the top. Brake line to the rear goes across the top of the offside chassis rail. Down there. Okay. So yeah, then steering rack. Various coolant things. Gear change mechanism, rear gearbox mount, engine mount, and then that can come out in theory. Crack on now and see where we get. Right, so we've anti-roll bars off, track rod ends are disconnected, flexible brake lines are off. Got all the nuts off on the pivots of the wishbones. Just going to drop this one off now, and probably bottoms out first and try and catch it. Might get a trolley or something to put this on. In fact, I will get a trolley to put this on. A little bit in. Front suspension is off complete, as you probably just saw. That's fairly new, so it came off easy. I'm going to take the pipes off the power steering, split that lower universal joint, take the steering column off, then hopefully with it unbolted it'll twist and come out that way. And this brace here, there, actually unbolts. So I think we'll have a go at that then. Been an interesting day already. Had some fashion designer guy come here looking for cars for shoots. See if that comes to anything. Yeah, we're making headway, and this will all be a lot nicer when it's blasted and sorted out properly. So we've got a shipping container coming, which should act as our blasting room. Just going to cross the road. I just need to get a tow-along compressor and a decent shot blaster then. Yeah, parts for the Impreza should be in soon. So I'm going to jump on that for the rest of the afternoon, because I've got to get that done. So we'll put that back on the lift and come back to this later this evening, I think. So probably about hour and a half into it now. But yeah, we're getting it. Okay, okay. Other than so yes, we've gone steering rack, front chassis support out, near side offside front brake lines out, clutch slave cylinder off, and the line which comes up and goes through a bolt into the bell housing. I've got a gear change, is awesome. It is proper rifle, and that's where there's a bit of play in that bush and there's a bit of play in that bush, and it's still the best. So I've got to work out how that's going to come off. There's another chassis, bolt-in chassis support here, which I don't think actually touches the gearbox. Then those two out, rear gearbox mounts and engine mounts. By that point we'll have it on a hoist. And then when the engine and gearbox are out, it's one brake line which is clipped there normally. So I'm going to be watching all these when this goes back together. Goes all the way down on the inside, then goes to the outside, then goes to the inside, and there must be a T-piece. Yeah, there's a T-piece there on the underneath the rear. Once that's out, handbrake, one earth lead which is down here on the underneath of the front outrigger triangulation, and that's the base chassis. So it's going to be on the rear calipers off it. So it's going to be a base chassis tonight. That's the theory. It's currently 6:15. I've done the brakes. Oh, you can't see it. Can you? No, you can't see it. Done the brakes on the Impreza today. Helped my buddy next door take the tracks off his burnt out digger. And now we're back onto this. So yeah, let's see how we do. Right, gear change is off. Rear support beam, which is there, is gone. Rear gearbox mounts are loose. I've sorted out what bolts are for the front gearbox mounts and engine mounts, and I've loosened the two that go on the chassis. And just lost all my shackles somewhere. So what I've done is put a gearbox bolt in with some chunky washers and a big plate. And we'll put a shackle on this one lifting point, which is down there behind the distributor cap there. Start taking the weight of it, put a trolley jack underneath the gearbox to support it, take them rear mounts out so the back of the gearbox can drop down, then pick the front up and I'm hoping it'll come at an angle like that out, but that is a hope, so we'll see. It needs to drop down to get that selector there below the level of this bar, but I don't think that's going to be too bad. And then once that's off, it's only the rear brakes, handbrake, one earth lead there, and that is bare. So, while I'm waiting for him, while he brings the shackle down for me, I'll take the back brakes off, and then that's one more thing done. Oh, and the handbrake can come off as well. Cool. Flipping duh. And I'm filming and not talking to myself. Yeah. She is out. Wasn't even that bad-ish. So yeah, handbrake. One of the rear handbrake cables has been a tit, but I think I have to cut that, slit that rubber thing. Other than that, one brake pipe and the handbrake, we have a fully stripped chassis and a very roughly suspended engine. So I think we'll put that on the floor.